Okay, so think about this. Tonight, while your body is just resting, under the covers, there's this whole universe that's going to bloom behind your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You might, I don't know, stroll across oceans, maybe talk to someone you've lost. Really honestly.
Yeah, that happens. It feels totally real, even if it's, well, nonsensical sometimes.
Exactly. But then, maybe somewhere in the middle of all that impossibility, there's this spark, like a sudden knowing.
Ah, yes. That moment you realize, wait a second, I'm dreaming.
Precisely. That is the moment.
And that spark, that's conscious awareness suddenly lighting up inside that subconscious landscape. And that is basically our mission today.
Right.
We're going to try and distill decades of research, lab findings, centuries of practice, really.
Into a roadmap.
Exactly. A practical, comprehensive roadmap. We want to give you a kind of shortcut to mastering that frontier, to becoming the conscious architect of your own reality, so to speak.
Absolutely. And we're diving into sources that really manage to bridge that gap, between the sort of dry cognitive science.
Yeah, the technical stuff.
And the pure, exhilarating potential of imagination. And the core promise here, it's pretty compelling.
It is.
The skills you actually cultivate while you're consciously navigating your dreams, they can give you tangible benefits, like solving complex problems.
Or healing emotional wounds, sparking creativity during the day.
During the day, yeah. It carries over.
And what's fascinating right off the bat is how often that breakthrough moment, that spark you mentioned, comes from simple cognitive dissonance.
Like something just doesn't fit.
Exactly. The guide we looked at mentions this really striking fact about the author's very first lucid dream. He was 13.
Wow, young.
Yeah, and he became lucid just moments after reading a magazine article about it. But the trigger wasn't some complex ritual or anything.
No, what was it?
He just looked down at his hand and saw 7 fingers. Unmistakably.
7 fingers. Okay, yeah, that would do it.
Right. That impossibility, that instant realization that the dream's physics were just broken.
Yeah.
That gave him the shock of awareness he needed.
That's a perfect moment. Reality just betrays itself. Okay, so let's unpack the why it works. Why isn't this just random chance?
Well, the sources lay out 5 core ideas, kind of foundational concepts that weave through the whole practice. These move it from luck into a skill you can actually develop.
Okay, what's the first one?
The first, and arguably the most powerful, is neuroplasticity.
Ah, the brain changing itself.
Exactly. That incredible ability the brain has to adapt, reorganize itself based on experience. Lucid dreaming kind of hijacks this.
How so?
Well, it lets you safely rehearse new behaviors or confront fears, practice complex skills, all while you're asleep.
Because the brain activity is similar to being awake.
Precisely. The neural pathways fire just like they would during waking practice. So you are literally overriding old fear responses and installing new capabilities. It's pretty amazing.
And you mentioned overriding fears. That ties into the second idea, right? Metacognition.
It does. Metacognition sounds a bit academic, maybe.
Yeah, break it down.
It just means the ability to notice your own thoughts, your own mental state in real time, to sort of observe yourself thinking.
Okay, how do we plant that in dreams?
The key insight is that you train this reflective habit while awake. By systematically questioning waking reality, we'll get into how later that habit starts to carry over into your sleep.
So if you ask, am I dreaming?
Yeah.
When you're awake.
That question might just pop up when you are dreaming, and
Yeah.
boom, lucidity.
Makes sense. Okay, number 3.
Third is emotional integration. This is where it gets really deep, moving beyond just curiosity into, well, therapy almost.
How does that work?
Nightmares, anxieties, maybe unresolved grief. These things can be approached, greeted, even transformed consciously and safely within that lucid space.
Because you know you're safe.
Exactly. It can lead to real emotional resolution, closure, a sense of peace that doesn't just vanish when you wake up.
Wow. Okay, 4th.
Fourth is pure, unadulterated creative amplification.
Oh, the fun stuff.
Totally. The dream world offers limitless raw material. It's unbound by cost or physics or gravity.
So for artists, engineers?
Anyone creative. If you need fresh ideas, textures, solutions to design flaws, plot points, the usual limitations just vanish. Ideas can mutate, combine, resolve themselves at the speed of thought. It's like the ultimate brainstorm session.
Got it. And the last one?
And finally, there's continuity, or what some psychologists call sleep-wake consistency.
Meaning it shouldn't be separate.
Right. Lucid dreaming shouldn't be this isolated nightly hobby. It needs to be seen as a dialogue between the two halves of your life, your waking self and your dreaming self,
So translating insights from the dream.
into practical, actionable steps during the day. That creates this powerful, continuous loop of growth. It's not just a skill, it's really a commitment to tile self-mastery, if you will.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's dive into the hard science that makes all this possible. Because the sources are really clear, right? This isn't mystical.
Not at all. It's measurable. It's a function of cooperating with the brain's own machinery. The system's already in place.
So to understand how to insert awareness, we first need to kind of map out that nightly journey the brain takes.
Exactly. That journey happens in cycles, roughly 90 minutes long, repeating about 4 to 6 times a night.
And lucid dreams tend to happen in a specific part of that cycle.
Almost exclusively, yes. They arise during REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, which makes up about 20–25% of our total sleep.
Why REM? What's special about it?
Well, a few things. During REM, the visual cortex is massively activated. That's why dreams are so visual, so high def. The amygdala, the emotion center, is also firing intensely.
Driving the emotional content.
Right. And crucially, the body is naturally and safely paralyzed. Muscle atonia.
So you don't act out your dreams.
Exactly. This whole cocktail, vivid visuals, strong emotion, physical paralysis, creates the perfect, immersive, high-stakes, yet physically protected theater for lucidity.
But hang on, regular dreams happen in REM too, so what's the neurological difference? What makes a dream lucid?
Ah, good question. It comes down to the prefrontal gatekeeper.
The PFC. The brain's CEO, basically.
Kind of, yeah. It handles executive functions planning, rational thought, self-reflection. In ordinary sleep, activity in the PFC dims way down.
Which is why dreams are often so bizarre and illogical.
Precisely. Your brain isn't asking, does it make sense that I'm having tea with a talking squirrel right now?
Right. So in lucidity.
In the lucid state, the PFC partially reactivates. It's this fascinating hybrid state. The logical, critical mind comes back online, evaluating things.
While the deeper imaginative parts are still generating the dream.
Exactly. And neuroimaging studies have actually tracked this. They show increased gamma band activity. That's a high-frequency electrical signature linked to conscious awareness and complex processing, specifically in those frontal regions during documented lucid REM sleep.
Wow. So it's a measurable brain state.
Definitely. And this idea of a hybrid state isn't just theory. Researchers have even figured out how to kind of nudge the brain into it externally.
Oh.
They target a specific part of the PFC, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, or DLPFC. It handles working memory, task management, and they apply something called TCS transcranial alternating current stimulation. It's basically a very mild, targeted electrical pulse delivered at those gamma frequencies right over the DLPFC during REM sleep.
And does it work?
It does. They've successfully used it to increase the frequency of lucid dreams in study participants.
Which proves?
It proves definitively that lucidity is a measurable, controllable neurological event, not magic.
Okay, so we have the electrical activity. What about the brain chemistry?
Ah, yes. Chemistry follows electricity. Two key neurotransmitters really shape the dream terrain here. First is acetylcholine.
What does that do?
It floods the brain during REM. It boosts cortical activation, which leads to those really vivid, high-resolution images, and also helps with memory consolidation within the dream.
Is this related to those supplements people sometimes talk about?
It is. This is where things like galantamine come in. It works by inhibiting the enzyme that breaks down acetylcholine.
So it keeps more acetylcholine active.
Right. Now, we need to be really careful here. The sources mention this, but with strong caution.
Why mention it at all, then, if we're aiming for natural practice?
It's mentioned more as a proof of concept. It confirms the specific chemical pathway that's important for lucidity. Understanding the mechanism, it is useful.
But not necessarily something to rush out and try.
Absolutely not, without extreme care and research. These are powerful compounds. They can artificially boost vividness and recall, maybe help kickstart the experience for someone skeptical, prove it's possible.
But not a long-term solution.
Definitely not a crutch. Over-reliance or wrong dosage can mess up your sleep, cause nausea, anxiety, completely counterproductive to the healing goals.
Okay, understood. So acetylcholine for vividness.
Yeah.
What's the other key chemical?
The second player is dopamine. That's the brain's motivational currency.
Fueling curiosity, gold.
Exactly. In dreaming, it helps you stay focused enough to actually question reality, to notice the weirdness, and then decide to take action or control.
So you need both.
It seems the sweet spot is the right ratio. Enough acetylcholine for the high-def visuals and emotional texture, plus enough dopamine for the cognitive get up and go needed to question the scene and become lucid.
Fascinating. And the lab proof really cemented this whole field, didn't it? That 1975 breakthrough.
Oh, that was revolutionary. Keith Hearn, a British psychologist, worked with this experienced lucid dreamer, Alan Worsley.
Right, the eye movements.
Exactly. The body is paralyzed in REM, but the eyes can still move. Hearn had Worsley agree on a specific signal, deliberate left, right eye movements he would make the moment he became lucid.
And they recorded it.
They recorded it on the polysomnography machine. When Worsley executed those movements, right there during REM sleep, well, that was objective, undeniable proof. Consciousness and two-way communication during sleep. Game changer.
Just incredible. And then Stephen LaBerge built on that.
He did. He had subjects perform tasks within their lucid dreams, like singing or counting seconds, and signal completion with eye movements. This allowed researchers to correlate subjective time perception in the dream with real-world physiological markers like heart rate. It grounded the subjective experience in objective data.
So all this science, how does it translate into practical tips for someone starting out?
Well, knowing that REM periods get longer and denser towards dawn tells you something important.
Like setting an early alarm.
Exactly. Strategically waking up after maybe 4 to 6 hours, staying up briefly, then going back to sleep. This method, wake back to bed, or WBTB, which we'll dive into later, puts you right back into that dense REM phase, but with a freshly primed prefrontal cortex. Increases your chances significantly.
And the acetylcholine connection gives us a hint about things to avoid.
Right. Common antihistamines, for example. Many of them block acetylcholine receptors. Taking those before bed can really suppress dream vividness and clarity, making lucidity much harder.
Good to know. Any final thoughts on the science and safety?
It's a crucial ethical point. While lucidity is powerful, the science underscores the need for caution. Anyone with pre-existing psychiatric conditions, especially things like psychosis or dissociative disorders,
Needs to be careful.
very careful. Consult a medical professional. Lucidity involves playing with the boundaries between internal and external reality. For someone whose boundaries are already fragile, it could potentially be destabilizing. Knowledge is power, but power needs respect and responsibility.
Okay, so we've got the brain science down. We know it's possible. Now let's talk about laying the groundwork, the prep work.
Yes, the foundation. And the sources make a really great point here. Preparation matters way more than just sheer willpower.
Right, the analogy about recording an album.
Yeah, you wouldn't try to record a masterpiece in a room full of jackhammers and strobe lights. You need the right conditions. Lucidity requires this state of relaxed vigilance, and that starts with setting the physical stage.
And the biggest enemy here seems to be light.
It often is the light problem. Even those tiny LED glows from chargers, clocks, standby lights, they mess with our circadian rhythms.
Oh.
They suppress melatonin production, the sleep hormone. That fragments your REM cycles, makes them less consistent, less deep.
So the takeaway is pretty simple. Pitch black.
As dark as you can possibly get it. Blackout curtains are your friend. Cover every single stray glow. Seriously.
Okay. Beyond light, what about sound and temperature?
Sound can be tricky. Sudden noises obviously disrupt sleep. A low, steady sound can actually help mask those like a white noise machine. Some people even use isochronic tones, these rhythmic pulses designed to match brainwave frequencies like theta, which is associated with drowsiness and early sleep stages.
Interesting. And temperature. I was surprised how specific the sources were on this.
Yeah, it's often overlooked but crucial. Our core body temperature naturally drops before we enter those deep REM phases. If your room is too warm, your body struggles to make that drop.
Trapping you in lighter sleep stages.
Exactly. You miss out on the prime REM real estate.
So what's the magic number we're aiming for?
The consensus seems to be around 63 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 17 Celsius. Cool, but not cold. That seems to be the sweet spot to help your body make that natural temperature dip.
Good tip. Okay, moving beyond the room itself, sleep hygiene, the boring but essential stuff.
Non-negotiable, and the absolute key here is regularity. Same bedtime, same wake-up time, as much as possible, even on weekends.
Oof, no more weekend sleep catch-up.
Trying to catch up throws your whole internal clock out of whack. It makes timing those induction techniques like WBTB almost impossible because your body doesn't know when to expect sleep or wakefulness. Consistency is king.
And what about the wind-down routine? The sources mentioned the circadian chance meeting.
Right. That critical 30 minutes or so before bed, you need to signal to your brain that the day is ending. Dim all the lights significantly.
And screens.
Definitely deal with screens. Switch your phone, your tablet, everything to grayscale or a strong night mode. This strips away that stimulating blue light and the brightly colored icons that are like little hits of dopamine bait, keeping your brain wired. Time to disconnect.
Makes sense. Diet also plays a role, surprisingly.
Subtly, but yes. High sodium intake can lead to dehydration, which fragments sleep, and the obvious ones. Late caffeine is an acetylcholine antagonist, messes with REM. Alcohol might make you drowsy initially, but it severely suppresses REM sleep later in the night.
So those are the saboteurs. Are there any dietary allies?
There are. Things that support neurotransmitter production or relaxation can help. Vitamin B6 found in bananas. Chickpeas is important for converting amino acids into serotonin and eventually melatonin.
For vividness and sleep regulation.
Exactly. And magnesium, think pumpkin seeds, almonds, spinach, is a great natural muscle relaxant. It helps with that physical relaxation needed for deep sleep, which can then lead to more vivid dreams.
Okay, physical stage set. Now for the mental workout. Mastering reality checks.
Yes, this is the daily rehearsal. Training that internal habit of questioning. It's like doing reps for your prefrontal cortex.
The philosophical rebellion, as the sources called it.
I like that. You're practicing awareness while awake, so the habit has a chance to fire automatically when you're asleep, and the PFC is partially dimmed. You're building that neural pathway.
So we need checks that are reliable, things the dreaming mind struggles with. What are the best ones?
The gold standard is probably the hand examination. But you can't just glance, really stare at your hands for a good 5 seconds. With genuine curiosity.
Long enough.
Anomalies. Dreams often mess up body representation. You might see 8 fingers or blurry fingers, or your hands might look translucent, weirdly shaped. If anything's off, bingo, you're dreaming.
Okay, hands check. What else?
Digital clocks and text. This is another classic. Numbers and letters are notoriously unstable in dreams. The reading comprehension parts of the brain are less active.
So you look at a clock, look away, look back.
And the time might have jumped wildly, like 3.42 becomes 8.17 in a second. Same with text. Read a sentence on a sign, look away, look back, and it might be different words or just gibberish. Check it twice. If it changes, you're lucid.
Love that one. Any others?
The breathing physics check is good too. Pinch your nose completely shut and try to inhale.
And if you can breathe.
You're dreaming, because your dream body isn't bound by physical laws. Similarly, try flicking a light switch. They often just don't work reliably in dreams. Or try pushing your finger through your palm. Sometimes it goes right through.
Okay, so perform these checks multiple times a day. How do we make it a habit?
Use the classic habit loop. Cue, routine, reward. Pick cues that happen often, walking through a doorway, getting a phone notification, feeling a strong emotion.
That's the cue. The routine is.
The routine is performing 1 or 2 reliable checks. Check hands, pinch nose, check text twice, whatever works for you.
And the reward.
Just a small internal nod. A little moment of satisfaction for having practiced awareness. Reinforces the loop. And to deepen it, try the 40-second pause technique mentioned. A few times a day, just stop everything. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what was I just doing? Why? And is this real? Really integrate that reflective habit into your day.
Nice. Okay, final piece of the foundation. Dream journaling and pattern recognition. The compass for the journey.
Absolutely essential. Dream memory is incredibly fragile. It melts away so fast like a snowflake on your tongue. Those first 10 to 20 seconds after waking are critical.
But you need to capture it immediately.
Immediately. Before you move, before you open your eyes fully. Stay still. Replay the dream mentally first. Lock in the sequence, the feeling, then reach for your journal or voice recorder.
Hey, what should we record? Just the plot.
Go for granularity. You need the skeleton, the basic timeline, what happened, but you also need the soul, the emotions, the atmosphere, any weird sensory details like tastes, temperatures, smells. The more detail, the better.
And the goal isn't just recollection, it's pattern recognition. Finding your dream signs.
Exactly. As you log more dreams, you start noticing recurring themes, objects, scenarios, feelings. Maybe it's always raining, or you keep finding lost keys, or a specific person shows up. These are your personal signals that you might be dreaming.
Like Alex in the malfunctioning elevators.
Perfect example. He tracked his dreams, Notice the elevators always behaved weirdly, going sideways, opening onto impossible scenes. That became his specific, reliable trigger for lucidity. He learned his own dream language.
So the journal helps you decode your unique signs, not just look for generic ones.
Precisely. And for advanced recall, try microjournaling sometimes. Just capture the absolute core of a dream in 10 words or less. Mirrored desert under green sun forces you to find the essence quickly.
And rereading old entries helps too.
Definitely. It reinforces those memories, makes them more solid. It's called the testing effect in memory research. It really works.
Right, foundation laid. Clean room, reality checks ingrained, journal by the bed. Now for the reins.
Let's call them the active interventions, the techniques to deliberately induce lucidity.
The heavy hitters, yeah. Starting with probably the most well-known and effective for many people, the wake back to bed method, or WBTB.
Explain the science behind why waking up in the middle of the night actually helps.
It's all about timing and REM density. When you wake up naturally or with an alarm after about 4 to 6 hours of sleep.
You've gotten through most of the deep, non-REM restorative sleep.
Exactly. The later part of the night is dominated by longer, denser periods of REM sleep. So by waking up briefly, you do two things. One, you interrupt the cycle right before this REM-rich period. Two, you bring your conscious awareness, your prefrontal cortex, slightly more online.
And then when you go back to sleep.
You glide back into that primed REM state, but with a little bit of that conscious awareness potentially carried over. It significantly boosts your chances of realizing you're dreaming. Finding the right timing must be key, though. Too short an awakening and you just fall back asleep normally. Too long and you can't get back to sleep at all.
Absolutely. Experimentation is needed, using your sleep cycle knowledge from your journal. The goal is to feel mentally alert enough to set an intention, but still sleepy enough to drift back easily. Usually somewhere between 20 to 40 minutes of wakefulness is the sweet spot for most people.
And what should you do during that wake phase?
Keep the lights dim. That's crucial. No bright phone screens, no exciting games, definitely no stressful work emails or social media scrolling.
That'll flood your brain with cortisol and wake you up completely.
Right. Instead, use the time constructively for your goal. Review your dream journal. Remind yourself of your personal dream signs. Read a few pages about lucid dreaming techniques. Engage the mind gently with the topic.
And, most importantly,
intention setting. This is where you plant that seed. You firmly resolve, the next time I dream, I will remember that I am dreaming. Say it to yourself with conviction. Feel the certainty of it. Focus on the act of remembering within the dream.
like programming your subconscious.
That's a good way to think about it. You're setting a specific instruction for your mind to execute upon re-entering the dream state.
Let's talk about Javier the engineer again. His story really shows WBTB in action for problem solving.
It's a fantastic example. He was stuck on this complex software deadlock problem. He used his WBTB wake phase about 30 minutes to intensely review the circuit diagrams.
Focusing his intention.
Yes, and he focused his reality checks during that wake time specifically on digital displays, telling himself, when I see conflicting pathways, I will question reality.
And then back to sleep.
And he had this vivid, lucid dream, not of code, but of train tracks. Two conductors arguing over a junction. Because he was lucid, triggered by the conflicting pathways idea, he stepped in.
And solved it.
He instructed them to stagger their departures, introduce a time delay, woke up, realized that was the architectural solution for his code, asynchronous timed access, problem is solved. The WBTB primed his mind. The intention directed it.
Incredible. Okay, WBTB is about timing. What's the next major technique?
The mnemonic induction of lucid dreams, or MILD. If WBTB sets the stage, MILD focuses purely on programming the psychology.
Mnemonic means memory aid, right?
Exactly. MILD leverages perspective memory. That's your brain's ability to remember to do something in the future, like remembering to buy milk on the way home or take medication at a certain time.
So you're setting a mental alarm to become lucid.
Precisely. You're training your mind to recognize the dream state and trigger the memory, oh, right, I'm supposed to realize I'm dreaming now.
How do you do that? With a mantra?
Yes, the mantra is key.
Yeah.
You craft a simple, clear, positive present tense phrase. Something like, when I'm dreaming, I will remember I'm dreaming. Or, next time I'm dreaming, I will recognize it.
And just repeat it over and over.
Not just mechanically. The sources emphasize that fewer, more concentrated repetitions paired with strong visualization and intention are much more effective than mindlessly chanting it hundreds of times. You really need to mean it and visualize success.
Visualize success? Now,
As you're repeating the mantra, you vividly imagine yourself back in a recent dream. Then you picture yourself noticing a dream sign, maybe that malfunctioning elevator again. You see yourself stopping, recognizing it, and confidently saying your mantra within the dream. Aha! I'm dreaming.
You're creating a mental rehearsal, a storyboard for the subconscious.
Exactly, giving it a clear picture of what success looks like.
And mild D works best combined with WBTB.
That's where the synergy comes in. Doing your mild practice, the mantra and visualization, right before you go back to sleep during that WBTB wake phase is incredibly powerful.
Why then specifically?
Because your brain is perfectly poised, sleep pressure is low, you're close to REM, but your cognitive awareness and memory functions are still relatively high from being awake. You're planting the mnemonic seed in the most fertile ground.
Makes sense. You mentioned Megan, the graphic designer, personalizing her mild.
Yeah, she linked her mantra to her creative goals. She wanted new color palettes. So she visualized herself in a dream, drawing a brightly colored door on a plain wall, saying her mantra, and then stepping through that door directly into a lucid state filled with inspiration.
So tailoring the visualization makes it more potent.
Absolutely. It connects the technique to your personal motivations and dream signs, making it a much more specific and emotionally resonant instruction for your mind.
Okay, we've covered getting lucid with WBTB and mild. Now we're entering the advanced level. Maintaining lucidity, controlling the dream, and even initiating it directly from wakefulness.
Right. This is where it gets really interesting, moving beyond just recognizing the dream to actively participating and shaping it. Let's start with the Mount Everest of techniques. Wake-initiated lucid dreaming or wild.
This sounds hard. Remaining conscious as the dream actually forms around you.
It is challenging, yeah. It requires incredible focus and balance. You're essentially trying to keep your mind awake while your body falls asleep, riding that razor's edge.
What's the risk?
The main challenge is staying alert enough to observe the transition without getting so mentally active that you just snap fully awake again. Or, conversely, losing focus and just drifting into ordinary sleep without retaining awareness.
The sources talk about a physiological staircase you descend during wild. What are the steps?
Okay, so first, you need an anchor for your attention as your body relaxes, usually focusing gently on your breath or maybe a very light, repetitive mantra, just something to keep the mind tethered.
Step 1. Anchor. Then.
Step 2. As you get closer to sleep, you'll likely encounter hypnagogic imagery. This can be patterns, colors, faces floating by, or even auditory stuff buzzing, snippets of music, voices. The key is to observe it passively without getting startled or too engaged.
Just watching the pre-sleep fireworks. What's next?
Step 3 is often the trickiest for people, experiencing the onset of sleep paralysis or muscle atonia. Your body is naturally paralyzing itself for REM sleep.
What does that feel like?
It can vary, maybe vibrations, a buzzing sensation, a feeling of pressure or heaviness, especially on the chest. It can feel weird, even scary if you don't expect it, but remembering it's a natural part of the process is crucial. Stay calm, keep observing.
Okay, stayed calm through the buzzing. What's the final step?
Step 4 is the transition into the dream scene itself. You have to recognize the moment when those random hypnagogic images start to coalesce to form a coherent scene, maybe a room appears or a landscape.
And then you jump in.
You mentally and gently step into it. You shift from being an observer of the visuals to being a participant within the formed scene. It requires finesse. If you get too excited or try to force it, you'll likely wake yourself up or lose consciousness and just fall into a regular dream.
Wow, okay, wild is definitely advanced. Let's say we achieve lucidity, either through wild or WBTB mild. The dream can still be unstable, right? How do we keep it going?
Ah, yes. Maintaining and stabilizing. This is critical. Especially in those first few seconds of lucidity, the excitement itself can wake you up.
The frozen lake analogy.
Exactly. Don't rush in and try to fly immediately. The first thing you do is ground yourself. Step gently onto the ice, metaphorically speaking. Stabilize the scene before you start playing.
How do we do that? What are the core stabilization techniques?
One of the most effective is rubbing your hands together vigorously.
Why does that work?
It generates strong, self-created tactile input. That sensory information feeds directly into your brain's sensorimotor cortex, anchoring your awareness in the dream body and making the whole scene feel more solid, more real, higher resolution.
Okay, rubbing hands. What if the dream starts to fade or wobble visually?
If things get unstable, you spin. Literally just start spinning around like a top, like a ballerina.
Seems counterintuitive.
It does, but it works. It intentionally floods your simulated vestibular system, your sense of balance, with chaotic input. This often acts like a hard reset for the dream scene. You stop spinning. and often find yourself in a completely new, much more stable and vivid environment.
A dream reset button. Cool. Any other ways to boost clarity?
Sensory amplification. If the dream feels dull or blurry, you can actively demand more detail. Sometimes just saying firmly, internally, or out loud, "clarity now," can work.
And then engage the senses.
Yes, immediately follow that command by actively engaging multiple senses. Touch the ground, feel its texture, smell the air, lick something if appropriate. Listen intently. The more sensory channels you activate, the more processing power the brain dedicates to rendering the dream environment in high definition.
We mentioned excitement being a problem.
Yeah.
How do you manage arousal?
It's a real balancing act. Too much excitement, adrenaline spikes, you wake up. Too calm, you might lose lucidity and slip back into a regular dream. You need engaged calm.
Techniques for that.
Conscious, calming breaths help. Some people visualize exhaling the excessive excitement down through the soles of their feet, grounding the energy, or sometimes just briefly focusing intense attention on a small detail, studying the pattern on a leaf. The texture of a wall can help dial down the overall excitement level.
What about false awakenings? Waking up, but not really.
Yes, very common. You wake up in your bedroom, everything looks normal. But maybe one tiny detail is off. The poster on the wall is different, the door opens the wrong way.
The brain trying to trick you back into non-lucidity.
Exactly. The rule is, always do a reality check immediately upon any awakening, especially if something feels even slightly off. Treat false awakenings as bonus opportunities. You're already dreaming, lucidity is just one reality check away. Don't let the dream fool you.
Okay, dreams stabilized. Now for the really fun part. Navigating and controlling the dream sandbox.
The boundless sandbox, yes, but it still has its own kind of physics or maybe tendencies. For locomotion like flying, the advice is incremental mastery.
Don't try to be Superman on day one.
Pretty much. Trying to instantly blast off often leads to losing control or waking up because it feels too unbelievable. Start smaller, practice jumping higher and higher. Then try short glides, like swimming through the air slowly. Build confidence and skill gradually.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What about getting somewhere specific? Teleportation.
Teleportation usually requires more than just wishing. It often needs a bridging ritual. Your mind seems to expect a transition.
Like using a door.
Exactly. Find a door, any door, or a mirror, or even just turn a corner. State your clear intention. When I go through this door, I will be standing in a red rock canyon. Then step through with expectation. Dream physics often respects these out-of-sight transformations.
Interesting. How about changing the environment itself or creating things? Sculpting and creation.
Similar principle. Often the easiest way is to use that out-of-sight technique. Turn your back to the object or scene you want to change. Declare the change firmly in your mind. When I turn around, that car will be bright green. Then turn back and expect to see it. Demanding instantaneous changes right before your eyes can sometimes destabilize things.
And interacting with dream characters. Summoning characters.
First, remember these characters are usually projections of your own psyche, aspects of yourself, memories, archetypes. Treat them as mirrors or potential mentors.
How do you make someone appear?
State your intention clearly. I want to speak with my inner critic, or I wish to talk to my grandmother. Then expect them to arrive from somewhere plausible within the dream scene. Maybe walking through a door, or stepping out from behind a tree, or just appearing when you turn around.
But don't expect perfect obedience.
Right. The sources emphasize co-creation. Sometimes you try to summon a specific guide, and the dream delivers someone unexpected but insightful. Or you try to change the scene, and the dream adds its own surprising twist, like that parade of living statues blocking the Louvre. It's often best to balance your intention with a willingness to be surprised and interact with what the dream offers. It's a dance between control and acceptance.
Okay, this is really where the rubber meets the road.
Right.
We've learned how to get lucid, how to stabilize, how to navigate. Why bother? What are the real applications? Let's start with conquering fears and phobias.
This is one of the most powerful applications, leveraging that unique therapeutic arena lucidity provides.
Remind us what makes it unique.
You get the full emotional realism. The fear feels absolutely real because the amygdala is firing, but you combine that with total physical safety and the cognitive awareness, thanks to the PFC, that this is a dream. I cannot actually be harmed.
The perfect safe space for exposure therapy.
Exactly. The core method is the exposure protocol, but done lucidly. You intentionally summon or approach the thing you fear.
But isn't that overwhelming?
That's where the control comes in. You titrate the dose. You manage the intensity. You don't have to face the giant spider head-on immediately.
How do you control it?
You alter variables within the dream, change the lighting to make it less menacing, shrink the feared object down like that example of turning the snarling horse-sized dog into a friendly puppy, increase the distance between you and the fear. You approach it gradually, on your own terms, rewriting the fear response without triggering massive overwhelm.
That makes sense. You can also use it to deal with past negative experiences, rewriting the narrative.
Absolutely. We all carry these embarrassing or painful memories, messing up a speech, a painful rejection, a small accident. In a lucid dream, you can revisit those scenes.
But why would you want to?
Because this time you're lucid. You have agency. You can consciously practice a different, more positive ending. You nail the speech, you handle the rejection with grace, you avoid the fall.
And the brain updates the memory.
It seems to work through memory reconsolidation. When you recall a memory, it becomes temporarily changeable. By consciously overlaying a new, positive, empowering experience onto that old memory trace within the dream, you fundamentally change its emotional charge when it gets stored again. The old failure loses its sting.
Wow. And what about dream alchemy? Transforming emotions directly.
Yeah, this is fascinating. If you encounter a really strong, maybe formless negative emotion in a dream, like a suffocating fog of shame or a paralyzing wave of anxiety instead of running from it,
You engage.
you face it, concentrate, and consciously try to transform its energy. Turn that cold fear into warmth. Turn that heavy shame into light. Visualize that anxiety flowing away like water. You're metabolizing the raw emotional energy.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to enhancing creativity and problem solving. What's special about the REM state for this?
During REM, especially lucid REM, the brain's usual filters are relaxed. Associative boundaries loosen. Unlikely connections are entertained as plausible. Things that wouldn't make sense logically in waking life can coexist and interact in the dream.
Creating fertile ground for new ideas.
Exactly. You can pose open-ended questions to the dream itself. Show me a solution from a completely different angle, or what does this problem look like as a metaphor? The dream mind can generate novel perspectives and unexpected juxtapositions.
Like Javier and the arguing train conductors.
Perfect example of transmutation. The dream translated his complex coding deadlock into a clear visual metaphor, the trains fighting over the track. Once lucid, he could interact with the metaphor and derive the logical solution, the time delay.
So the dream can act like a giant interactive whiteboard.
Absolutely. An architect could walk through a dream model of a building, instantly stretching walls, moving windows, feeling the space. A musician could hear new melodies. A writer could step into a scene and just watch their characters talk, capturing the dialogue.
But the insight needs to be captured, right?
Yeah, that's critically important. The sources hammer this home. Inspiration strikes, but it vanishes incredibly fast upon waking. Keep a sketchpad, notebook, or voice recorder right by the bed. Capture it immediately. That's often the difference between a fleeting dream idea and a real-world breakthrough.
Okay, let's go deeper. Emotional healing and shadow work. What do we mean by the shadow?
In psychological terms, the shadow contains all the parts of ourselves we've disowned or repressed because they felt unacceptable. Often it's negative stuff, anger, jealousy, fear. But crucially, it also holds positive qualities we might have suppressed, maybe confidence, assertiveness, creativity, vitality.
So integrating the shadow isn't about becoming those negative things.
Not at all. It's about acknowledging these impulses exist within you, understanding their roots, and integrating their energy constructively rather than letting them run the show unconsciously or projecting them onto others. And lucidity is a prime place for this.
Through dialogue with wounded parts.
Yes, the key is to engage, not evade. If a dream character represents something difficult, say that snarling wolf symbolizing repressed anger, you don't fight it.
You talk to it.
You turn towards it, hold your ground because you know you're safe, and ask it directly, what do you want me to know, or what do you need? Often the threatening figure will transform, revealing the underlying vulnerability or unmet need. The wolf might whimper, showing it just needs acknowledgement or safety.
This sounds similar to revisiting trauma.
It is, but maybe focus more on internal conflicts. But yes, you can also use lucidity for revisiting trauma safely, entering those difficult past scenes, but this time with your adult awareness and control.
Using safety measures.
Absolutely crucial. You can consciously create a protective bubble around yourself, freeze the scene like a movie, bring a supportive guide figure with you. The goal is to re-experience the event without the original terror and helplessness, rewriting the emotional signature and neutralizing that panic link through memory reconsolidation.
All this inner work should lead to outer changes too, right? Like building confidence and social skills.
Definitely. The lucid dream is the ultimate safe rehearsal space. Zero chance of real-world embarrassment.
So you can practice things you find difficult.
Exactly. Practice the shaky five, as the sources call them. Making small talk, accepting a compliment gracefully, initiating a conversation, disagreeing respectfully, holding eye contact. You can simulate challenging social scenarios, a party, a presentation, a difficult conversation, and practice your responses with dream characters acting as mirrors or mentors.
That's amazing. What about the advanced perspective shift?
This is wild. You can intentionally try to float out of your dream body and observe yourself from a third-person perspective.
See yourself as others see you.
Literally. Observe your posture, your gestures, hear your tone of voice. Then you can float back into your dream body and make conscious adjustments based on what you observed. It's an incredible feedback loop for self-presentation that's impossible in waking life.
You can even heal past humiliations.
Yes, revisiting those moments, being laughed at during a performance, stumbling over words, but this time, while lucid, you freeze the bullies, rewrite the scene, maybe even have the dream audience give you a standing ovation. Again, it's about changing the emotional residue of the memory.
Okay, finally, the furthest reaches. Spiritual and transcendent experiences.
Yeah, sometimes lucid dreams move beyond personal problem solving into something bigger. A sense of dissolving boundaries, feeling interconnected with everything in the dreamscape.
Like the train station breathing.
Right, that feeling of the environment being alive or fusing with it, a sense of awe or unity.
How do you approach these experiences? Can you force them?
The sources strongly advise against trying to force them. The approach should be one of humility and invitation, not demand. Set intentions rooted in openness and reverence, like, may I meet whatever arises with wisdom, rather than show me the meaning of life.
And you might encounter guides.
You might. Calling forth archetypes and guides is possible, but they often appear symbolically. Not necessarily a wise old man with a beard. It could be a janitor with a key ring, an animal. That memorable example of a dog with galaxy eyes teaching about being present. The form is less important than the feeling or message conveyed. They represent access to deeper layers of your own psyche or perhaps collective wisdom.
And the ultimate practice seems to be dream meditation.
Yes. This involves intentionally pausing all action, all control attempts within the lucid dream. You just sit, observe, and allow the dream scene to dissolve around you.
Dissolve into what?
Sometimes into what's described as the clear light void, an experience of pure awareness, pure knowing, beyond form, beyond words. It's a state described in various contemplative traditions, accessible directly through this unique state of conscious sleep.
So we've journeyed through the science, the techniques, the incredible applications, but none of it matters much if it stays locked in the dream world. The final step, maybe the most important, is integration.
Absolutely. Integration is what collapses the wall between night and day. It makes your whole life, your whole sense of self, larger, brighter, more whole.
What's the very first step upon waking from a lucid dream or even a vivid regular dream?
The morning triage. Non-negotiable. Record it. Immediately.
Before coffee, before the shower.
Before anything distracts you. Dream memory is incredibly volatile. It evaporates within minutes once the waking analytical mind fully boots up. Get it down on paper or voice recording right away.
Okay, got the data down. How do you integrate the feeling, the embodied sense of the dream?
This is where embodied wisdom comes in. Try the dream posture ritual. Stand up, take a moment, and physically reenact a specific posture or gesture you held in the dream. Maybe the confident stance you took facing a fear, or the feeling of lightness when you were flying, or the posture of deep listening when talking to a guide. Briefly re-embodying it helps anchor that somatic feeling, that felt sense, into your waking nervous system.
Now, what about dream solutions, ideas for waking life problems that came up? How do you know if they're actually useful?
Good question. Dreams can be metaphorical or nonsensical. The sources suggest a practical 3-step decision check to vet dream insights.
Okay, step 1.
Authenticity. Does this insight feel genuinely aligned with your core values and goals for growth? Or is it maybe just wishful thinking, an escape fantasy? Gut check its resonance.
That's step 2.
Feasibility. How does the dream solution actually map onto waking life constraints? Flying over traffic clearly isn't literal.
So translate the metaphor.
Right. Flying might translate to finding ways to increase efficiency, delegate tasks, or change your perspective on the commute. Find the practical waking life analogy.
And step 3.
Alignment over time. Does the insight or the conviction behind the solution still feel strong a few days later? Or did it fade quickly? True insights tend to persist and deepen, whereas fleeting dream whims often dissolve in the light of day.
This process feeds back into future dreams, right? The bidirectional feedback loop.
Exactly. Your waking actions, inspired by dreams, shape your waking reality. And that changed reality then feeds new data, new scenarios back into your subsequent dreams.
Like Javier the engineer again.
Perfect example. He implemented the time delay solution, waking action. His next dreams about system design were likely more detailed, more realistic, reflecting his new understanding, which could then spark further refinements. It becomes a continuous loop of learning and growth, night and day informing each other.
So bringing it all together for the listener, what's the ultimate measure of success here? Is it just having lots of lucid dreams?
Not necessarily. The real progress indicator isn't frequency, it's the qualitative enrichment of your everyday working existence. How often do you feel more aligned, more creative, more courageous, more present, more awake while you are actually awake? That's the true payoff.
So the line between night and day becomes less of a wall.
And more of a permeable membrane, a dynamic doorway. Insights flow back and forth freely.
It's been quite a journey. From gamma waves in the lab through practical techniques like WBTB and reality checks to confronting fears, solving problems, and even touching on transcendent experiences.
We've covered a lot of ground. The science, the practice, the profound potential for healing and growth. The core message is that every dream, lucid or not, is like a personal coded letter.
A letter from your inner self.
From an inner soulmate, perhaps. Your job is to learn to read it carefully at dawn, reflect on its message, and then reply by living more consciously, more intentionally during the day. And then you mail that response back to your subconscious each night through your focus, your intention, your practice.
It's an ongoing conversation.
An unending conversation, ideally.
So you, the listener, now have the tools. You basically carry this secret passport in your pocket, the keys to the midnight theaters of your own mind.
Use them well. Use them wisely.
Go forth, live awake, sleep lucid, and let that conversation continue without end.
To get more details about the book Lucid Dreaming Secrets, transform your reality through your dreams, click on the below link to order.
Subscribe us to get more content like this.